Now before we zoom in with the log recording itself, seeing the details it retains when it comes to the log recording on the Xiaomi 15 Ultra in 4K 60 frames per second, I wanted to showcase how I edit my shots. Now of course what you're seeing here is the pure log recording. There isn't any color grading on it at all. Most of the time what I would use is CineSpace 50 and put that as base on it. Then I will go to basic corrections and use one of these. So right now I already know that this one fits the best, the D21. But of course you do have different options and you can just play around with the styles itself depending on the mood that you're going for. Of course naturally these are styles that I already have on my PC and then I can edit it if I want to. But of course you can also do it without this. You can just create your own and change the exposure, change the saturation, change the darkness and of course everything you can think of. But of course by default I would select something like D21. And of course change it then to my preference. This could be like adding contrast to the shot itself, where the greens come a bit more aggressive green, shadows become a little bit darker, and of course I can play with the shadows as well here. Now of course adding the shadows I can make them lower, and by doing so the shadows become a little bit darker and therefore they have a little bit more of effect to it, but for me also creates a little bit more depth to the shot itself. So you play around with it and see whatever fits. Of course, one scene doesn't necessarily fit everything. Of course, exposure is something you can play around with and you can just balance it out to whatever degree you like. Temperature as well, make it a little bit warmer or make it a little bit colder depending on your preference. You can then also change, for instance, the vignette. Right now there is no vignette. If I go in the plus, you will see a white vignette. If I go in the minus, you will see a black vignette. You can see right here, white vignette in the plus, black vignette in the minus. Of course, depends again on your preference and what kind of shot you're working with. I don't really add it to every single shot, but there are moments where I feel like it really fits. For instance, with this car, I will show you the result itself. If I delete this, you can see I add a little bit of a vignette, but also changed quite a bit of the contrast itself, because this really fits with the scene itself. Again, default is this, and then afterwards editing, I just make everything just pop a little bit more without it having too much saturation on it. The same goes for instance with the shot itself here. Again, you can see the vignette on it as well, right here. It's minimal, but it's still there, just to give that a little bit more of effect to the shot itself. Anyway, that's my approach when it comes to, of course, editing my shots and especially log. Now, I'm not a professional when it comes to log recording and of course editing them, but this is how I approach it when it comes to my own experience and what I do with it. I know that some people out there will question, why would you even record in log? So there are several reasons why you would record in log. Well, my focus is hardly ever video performance when it comes to that side, because that's the part that I still like at. The biggest reason I would record log is for the control over the settings, be it the colors or be it the shadows. This allows me to have full control, where a normal video would already be colored in. Saturation is decided for you, as well as the contrast and the shadows. Sure, you can still edit it, but you don't have the freedom like you have with log recording. In terms of log, it also of course captures a wider color gamut, dynamic range and tonal range compared to what you would normally get. Now the Xiaomi 15 Ultra has some big benefits. Log recording is not only up to 4K 60 frames, but some are limited to 30 frames in 4K, but you can also use it on all sensors, from the ultra wide to the periscope, where the 14 Ultra for example couldn't. This gives you a wider freedom to play around with your log recording and edit your videos, like I've shown for instance in the intro. Normally, on the Xiaomi 15 Ultra you can also record on Rec 709 or import your LUTs as well to fully customize your experience. For me, however, I never do that. My style and approach when it comes to my videos and stills as well often switches to what I prefer when it comes to how the footage looks. So at the end, that's my video on of course log recording with the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. There are so much more things that you can discuss when it comes to log recording, but realistically I'm not an expert in it. This is my weakness when it comes to of course video recording and showcase that side of course mobile reviews, especially camera focus. So do keep in mind that I'm not an expert in it. Of course, don't forget as well, when it comes to the Xiaomi 15 Ultra and using log recording, you can still use attachments like an ND filter or anything that you can think of to really enhance the experience as well while shooting in log. Either way, I do hope that you enjoyed this different kind of video showcasing my experience with, of course, the Xiaomi 15 Ultra in log recording, showcasing what the performance is like, and of course a little tutorial on how I approach it, even though again I'm not an expert in that segment. Either way, before we leave, I really want to thank my members. Thank you very much for the support, of course, that you guys have been giving me. For those members, I will leave some of the footage in a link where you can download them yourself. And of course, if you want to become a member, you can by clicking somewhere below join. Either way, I do hope that you enjoyed this video. And of course, if you did, don't forget to like, subscribe and everything. And comment below. And thank you very much for the support that you guys have been giving me on the last 2 videos. They've been doing really well. And because of that, we're getting really close to 20,000 now. So keep that up. Either way, have a good one and talk to you guys in the next